Hello, fam. Welcome back to another episode of I Got a Lot of Things to Say. Our guest tonight is Geronimo Ronin. Hi.
Hey, how's it going? How you doing?
It's good. How are you?
I'm okay. It's been a busy few weeks actually. So I'm actually to have a moment to sit down and not have to do anything specifically feels good right now. So I've been up and going and moving around. So sitting down, I was like, oh, this is a break. This is break time for me. So that's pretty much what I'm at right now. Break time.
Cool. So, like my previous guest, I found you on TikTok and instantly followed because I really just loved your content. So I asked this question of everybody: how did you get started? Why did you start? How do you feel about it now?
Oh, okay. So to be fair, and it's funny because I tell people this all the time. I initially joined TikTok as a spectator. Um, I didn't join TikTok with the intention of being a content creator at all. Um, it was just, I guess, a hand of fate, to be honest, because you remember Womblands happened. Um,
Yes.
and when Womblands happened, there was a video that was made by I forget, I think her name is Traversia or something like that.
Yes. Yes.
She made a
Yes.
video and she called herself trying to uh state whether something was racist or not. And because some of the flack that was going back when people were correcting what was going on between Modern Warrior and Chelsea and everything, there was some black women catching flack about it, and she tried to sweep it under the rug, and I wasn't having that. So I made a video responding to it. I stitched her video and immediately responded to it, and was just like it just kind of came out, and I just said what I wanted to say, and I went to sleep. When I woke up, um, my notifications was off the charts, and I'm like, "Where's all these people coming from?" I'm like, "What is going on?" And
Uh-huh.
for whatever reason, that video just it went viral and caught traction, and I went from maybe like 100 followers to over 2,000 literally overnight. And
Oh,
so,
wow.
it just kind of built from there. And then, I used to facilitate anti-racist workshops, so that was pretty much what I was interested in. I've always been interested in sitting down having like deep conversations with white people. I mean, I live in Wisconsin, so I'm surrounded by white folks. So,
And I
um,
live in DC, and I'm somewhat surrounded by white people.
yeah, I
Like,
mean,
yeah.
DC is like it used to be Chocolate City. Now it's like you're looking more like white
it's
Chocolate
it's
City now.
it's a little, it's still chocolate city. It's like milk chocolate city. So
It ain't
when
white
I
chocolate
was
no more.
when I was born in 1976, it was 84% black.
Mm.
We're now at 49 or something. And it was 84 for a really long time, like in the high 80s or mid 80s for a while. And now we're like at 47, 48%.
Oh wow.
Um it's a very transient city, and people will come because federal government is the largest employer.
Right.
Um and then Walmart. But the first employer is the federal government. Whether you're a contractor or an actual Fed, the federal government is the largest employer here. And um, so we have a lot of transplants. We have a lot of people that come, stay, do their do and pop out. But I'm from the hood of DC. Like, it wasn't, I'm not going to say the hood, but it was the hood. It's not so much the hood anymore. But yeah, but I'm sorry. Keep going because I
No,
want
no,
to.
you're fine. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same. I mean, kind of the same with Milwaukee. Like Milwaukee, is like the biggest city in Wisconsin. It's like
Hmm.
the major metropolitan area. And then, of course, with Milwaukee, you have Milwaukee County. and then there's outer boroughs and suburbs that surround Milwaukee. So, like while Milwaukee's population is heavy concentration of like Black, Latinx, and like Asian, primarily within the inner city. As you sprout out, that's where a lot more of the affluent white people are. There's a spot like a little bit far away. It's called Brookfield. I call it White Flight 2.0, just because of how everything is set up now. So it's definitely different, but they do converge because the Bucks play in the inner city. They play downtown.
Right.
There's a lot of downtown stuff. Like I live on the east side now. I used to live. I'm from the hood too. Like, and I'm from the hood. Like, so it's a definite difference when you think about the amount of people now that live in the city and just how much they've kind of converged. When Black folks initially moved in Milwaukee, a lot of white folks went out. They bounced. White flight was here, so it's
That
interesting to see
happened
that.
in my neighborhood too.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that come back now.
And that's kind of what's happening. So um I'm from Anacostia, and if for people watching this in the DC area, a lot of times when you hear Anacostia, it's like, oh, and a lot of times people go, oh, you can't be from Anacostia, and I'm like, why not? Well, you are so well spoken. That's because my mother put me in the private school. So that's why, one of the reasons. And I'm just like, and that's not the flex you think it is.
It's really not.
Get
Like,
the hell out of here.
yeah,
Like, but
it's not a compliment either. It's so,
and it's not a compliment
it's
either.
not a
I'm
compliment.
like, it's not a compliment because I'm like, you wouldn't say that to another white person. Oh, you're so well spoken. You just automatically assume they're well spoken. When
Right.
some of them aren't well
At
spoken,
all.
and I'm like, what the hell did you just say? What? That didn't make no sense. That was incoherent,
As
illiterate,
hell.
and all sorts of wrong. What? Okay. But yeah, I'm from Anacostia. We moved there when I was 12, and before that, I lived on MLK. And everyone knows that if you live on MLK, it's the hood, because I don't think there
Oh
is
yeah. I mean,
all MLK avenues are the hood.
the hood, yeah, because our MLK in here is like hood as hell. Like there is no way. Like you drive down that joint, you just like, yeah,
Yeah, and like in DC, we go by quadrants. And
Mm.
so it's southwest, southeast, northwest, northeast. Northwest is the more affluent area. Quiet as it's kept. Some places in southeast are also pretty affluent. Literally right up the street from my mom. And southeast, southwest are kind of the least affluent. I now live in northeast. I used to live in southeast. I now live in northeast. And southeast is like the place if you are west of the Anacostia River in southeast, you're fine because you're kind of over there where the Capitol is and Capitol Hill. That's also affluent. But if you go east of the Anacostia River, that's the hood. That's the Black people are there.
Yeah.
And when I say that, I mean, there are Black people in all quadrants of DC, but like the hood is there. And I say that to say we finally got a sit-down restaurant in the aughts, in the early aughts. We got a sit-down restaurant. We really didn't have one in our area for a very long time. We had one grocery store in the whole quadrant. Now we have two. No, now we have three. We have three now. So, and we finally got it. And the first restaurant closed down because there was some racketeering thing. I think there was a front for drug people. And
okay.
And We actually got like a regional chain restaurant now. Now we have 2 restaurants.
Okay.
We're moving up.
Right.
We're moving up. We're
Right.
moving on up.
Right.
But that's to tell you like what it is. We normally have our unemployment rate is usually higher than the national average. Our
Mhm.
literacy rate is usually low too. You know, hood things.
Right.
A lot of crime, a lot of, I mean, I didn't really see any crime where I live. And when I tell people that, they're like, but you live in Anacostia. I was like, so? What does that
Right.
got to do with it?
Yeah.
Um,
What do you think?
you are going back to school. Yay.
Yeah. Yeah. Currently in school. Yeah. Officially is.
Oh, yeah, you're in school. So if people were looking for him on TikTok and was like, where is he? He was in school.
Yeah. I've been in school. I started school last week on Monday. So it's been interesting going back. What was funny was my first day of school. At my first class, I sat down and we had to go around the classroom and introduce ourselves. And mind you, of course, I'm the oldest person in the class. Like all the kids are bright faced, shiny new, whatever. And I'm in here in this, English 400 level class. And I get to me and I introduce myself. I'm like, hi, how y'all doing? And I'm like, I'm a reentry student. And everybody was like, really? And the entire class started applauding. And I didn't know what to do because I'm just like, okay, everybody's clapping. The teacher
Right,
even
right.
clapped, like welcome back. Like welcome back. Da, da, da. I'm like sitting there, just like I didn't. uh, Okay, thank you. I appreciate y'all. Like cool. Like I didn't really know how to feel at first, but I was like, I mean, I had been out of school for 12 years, and
Mm-hmm.
and I had always like went back and forth about going back, and it was something that kind of always just like it felt incompleted. Um, and I had actually reapplied a couple times, but I just never followed through. And this
Mm-hmm.
time, I told myself if I apply and I get accepted, I'm gonna follow through this time. And so I got accepted, and I just was back and forth. I was there so much between September and January. Thought I was already in school. I was there almost every week, just having to do this and having to speak with an advisor and having to do this and I got to
You're
do
right.
this. I was like, that's so much to do. I was like, I'm like, God, like, and of course adjusting to how things are implemented now. It's a lot different than when I
Yes, it's a
initially
lot different.
a lot different. Like the one thing that really stood out, which I thought was amazing, and just really good to note is that before school even started, they sent out a school-wide training for sexual assault for SA, and
That's
everybody had,
amazing.
and everybody had to take it. Like you had to. It was mandatory, and you had to complete the training. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, where was this when I started school in 2005? Like, but obviously it was a different time. It was very
It was a
different.
way different time. And I started college long after that. I started in 94. Um, I graduated high school in 94 and went straight to college and hopped around a bit. I've been to like 4 or 5 colleges, and did a summer at Yale. And um, I went back in 2004 or 5,
Hmm.
and I was supposed to graduate in 2009 and didn't graduate. And, as I was telling you before the taping, I'm not going back. Um, people, how something happens, like the government will do something, will have a program, and they'll be like, yeah, millions of people, we've done this for millions of people. And you're like, I don't know anyone that they have done anything for. Well,
Now you gotta say, I'm
I
one
can
of those.
finally say
I'm one of those. That
I'm
would be
one of those.
that would be.
As as I was sitting in a hotel room in August in New York City because I'm moving there, I get an email from my loan servicer. And at this point, I was like, I'm not paying these loans back. You know, if the government wants to squawk, if Congress wants to squawk over 20K, because I would have qualified for 20K. um, y'all gonna have to squawk about all of it because I'm not paying it back. You're gonna have to charge it to the game. I'm not paying it back. I'm just not. I get an email as I'm eating in my hotel room, eating my dinner, and it says, your student loans have been forgiven. And I go, what? And I was like, this isn't right. And I'm like furiously trying to log into my student loan servicer account, which FYI had been sold during COVID. Like the people that I was paying the money to, because I did start paying it back. The people I started paying the money to before COVID were not the same people I had to pay the money to after COVID.
Yeah, they did that to a lot of people too.
And I'm trying to find login credentials and log in, and I log in and look at the letter, and it says, because you've been paying your student loans for 20 years, we're just discharging the rest of it. So not only did I get 20K off, I got all of it. It's zero.
Oh, that's
and in October it came off my credit report, and I was just like, what? I like the relief and the stress, because that was a little bit of added stress. I don't have it anymore. And I was like, okay, well, unless I have the money to pay for my tuition in cash or make some type of monthly payment,
right.
I'm not going back to school because I'm not taking out any more student loans. Student
Right.
loans is a sham
Oh, it
because
is.
there is no way, Geronimo, when I say that my balance never dipped, and I have been taking out loans since 1994. So I had loans 1994, 5, 6, 7. I think I stopped going to school in 97. I started working, and then I went back. I went back in 97 because I was in North Carolina in 97, and then I went back in 99. I was in Boston. And then I stopped and worked until like 2005, and I went back. I didn't take out loans that time because my stepdad was paying my tuition.
Mm.
And I was going to a school where I could actually just pay the tuition, and it wasn't $20,000. It was more like $2,000 a semester.
Okay.
And I think my last semester I did take out a student loan. And I was just like, it's still the same amount that it was when I took it out in 97. The interest rate was out of control, and I have refinanced my student loans, and they were out of control. And I was like, it hadn't dipped in 20 years. I'm still owing almost the same original amount.
Right. Yeah. I
From
mean, and I think what's interesting to talk about is the fact that you can talk about the fact that before Black and brown people actually were allowed into universities were free. And I think a lot of times people don't think about that, and how like all of a sudden with the entrance of Black and brown people in universities and in schools, how now okay, there has to be something that we can do to, separate this. All right, well, what's the big separator? Money. Of
money.
course. Money.
But the thing is, you cut off, you the thing is, it also hurt a lot of white people, because you have white people who are like, I can't pay these loans back either. A lot of
Facts.
people can't. A lot
Yeah.
of people can't. I have a friend who has a mortgage payment worth of student loans, like over $100,000.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God. And she got a master's degree, which is why it was that much. She went to undergrad and then got a master's degree. And I'm like, that's a lot of money. Now, it used to be, I feel like, okay, I could take out $100,000 of student loans. I'm going to have a master's degree, but I should be making more than enough to pay it back. And we're at the point now where you don't even make enough to pay it back if you had a master's degree.
Facts. And I think that's another thing to think about is just, what I mean, you talk about like this idea of like if you do everything the right way, this programmed idea that is, imposed upon us from birth about you do everything the right way, you do everything as you're supposed to, that you'll be rewarded with all these benefits and luxuries and things like that. That's the idea of the American dream, right? But they don't tell you There's an asterisk that's attached to that, and and then with that asterisk, you're like, well, you get that, but if you're a white woman, if you're black, if you're a black woman, if you're, LGBTQ, if you're disabled, if you're this, you're that, then there are certain things, there's certain things that now you have to add on to that,
Right.
and I do think, even if you're white and you're poor, it's like, even then, there are certain things that you are excluded from when it comes
Right.
to that. So I constantly think about the fact that, you know, they you're promised this incredible life. They promise you order. They promise you all of this, and all they ask for in return is your silent, obedient consent. That's the trade off.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of ways, that's the trade off. Don't question anything. Don't think about anything. Just do what you need to do to get what we are promising you. And even with that, there's no guarantee that that promise is going to be kept. I mean, you're talking about
Right.
a country that has, in all intents and purposes, have already like habitually broken its contract in its Declaration of Independence and its Constitution. So it's like y'all already got a couple lines against y'all anyway. I don't know how you can sit there and believe anything that they have to say, and that's just
I
obviously it's an indictment on them as a whole in totality.
and I used to believe in the American dream, and and I used to believe in respectability politics too. And as I've gotten older, I've learned that A, I'm moving more to the left, to where in my 20s, I would consider myself a moderate Democrat.
Mm.
So I am Black, I'm Catholic. My family's been Catholic for like generations. Can we take a wild guess, audience members, why Kia, a Black woman, is Catholic and her family for generations is also Catholic?
Oh,
Did you say slavery?
right.
Ding,
Yeah. Well, as a fellow Black Catholic, yeah, as a fellow, I got to say, well, used to be Black Catholic, now turned practicing Buddhist. I understand your struggle, so I get it. Well, the crazy part was my
cool.
mom was a Baptist. She was in a Baptist church, and then she converted to Catholicism when I was around 7, 8 years old, and
Oh,
then and
okay.
then she directed and directed the choir for God knows how many years.
I
Um,
taught catechism for 20.
see, look, see,
I
yeah.
taught I taught catechism from 16 to like 41, 42.
Oh wow. Oh, you was oh
Yeah.
you was on it then. You was
I
you all about it then.
I
Yeah.
was I was I was all about it. And it's really funny because so I'm a cradle Catholic and so is my mother, my grandmother, my her great grandmother. Like I said, like on my mother's side, we've been Catholic since, that third great grandfather of mine. Um who thought, it was very important to baptize his slaves, but not so important to give them freedom. I don't know. I mean, I
Yeah.
just don't.
So
But
like, God gives us free will, but we can't have any from y'all. That's kind of oxymoronic, don't you think? That part.
and and she married a Jehovah's Witness. He's no my
Wow.
dad is my dad is no longer a Jehovah's
Yes.
Witness. I think he's Baptist now, but um yeah, she married my dad who was Jehovah's Witness. My grandmother and my aunts, my grandmother who passed away in 2017, may she rest in peace. She was a lovely woman. She was a Jehovah's Witness. My aunts are still Jehovah's Witnesses, and their children are Jehovah's Witnesses. Um, and while I know about the Jehovah's Witness, my experience with them was a lot different. I had a very loving relationship with my father's family.
Mm-hmm.
I still do have a loving relationship with them. They did not shun me because I was not a Jehovah's Witness, although they did try to convert me. It very nicely. And my grandfather and my grandfather, who wasn't affiliated with any religion, he was a Christian, but he didn't go to church or anything. He was like, y'all gonna leave. You're gonna leave Vanessa and Kia alone. They're not converting. Like, They're Catholic, leave them alone. And that thing about I think people think this is like a urban legend, but the paper that you have to sign when you take pre-K classes that your kids will be Catholic, that is not an urban legend. That's a thing you really have to do. So, pre-K classes, for people who don't know, are classes you take like 6 months before you're getting married in a Catholic church. I think they moved it to like a year. It's a year now and not 6 months. But back in the day, it was 6 months. And if you were marrying a non-Catholic, they had to sign a paper saying, all children of this union will be Catholic.
That's wild.
And my father signed it, and I'm Catholic. That it is absolutely wild. I'm not really, I mean, I still consider myself Catholic, but I don't go to church anymore, and I'm deconstructing my faith. I still have faith in God. I still believe in Jesus Christ. I still believe in the Nicene Creed. And that's where it ends for me.
I get you.
It ends at the communion of saints.
Listen, it's an interesting thing when you talk about that, especially like, when you talk about like the dichotomy of like the Catholic Church and everything and how it's built and structured and the institutions that, support it and uphold it. And then you think about its history, its past. Its past is very dark. I mean, religion, Christianity,
racism.
Yeah,
they have racism, human trafficking, because they sold some of their slaves to keep some of their institutions open. Hello, Georgetown.
Gotcha.
They participated very frequently and freely in the segregation of their parishioners. My mother, who is my mother, went to a segregated Catholic school in Maryland. Yeah.
I believe Malcolm X said it the best. The most segregated time in the week is high noon on Sunday. So it's like, there is that idea and this idea that, we, as this idea of communion the saints, but it's just like, yeah, them saints got to be over
them
there.
Saints over there, yeah.
Even the term Black Catholic says a lot.
It does.
It says a lot. And it reminds me of the quote, Toni Morrison said, American means white, everybody else has to hyphenate. And that's pretty much what it means. Like, you have to add this, I'm a Black Catholic. I'm a Black Lutheran. As if like there's this continual imposition of the default of whiteness in all aspects of our institutions, and that has to be, the caveat to it. Like, we can take part in this, but you must be able to differentiate between them and us.
And in DC, there's a large Black Catholic population. Like, there are Catholic churches, they don't say Black Catholic on the thing, but based on where they are, it's a Black Catholic church. Like, my home church in DC it's a Black Catholic church. Like, the parishioners are Black, and my home church has a school attached. It's a Black Catholic church. The school is mostly Black. I went to a Black Catholic school. So I went to Catholic school all of my life. And for the first 9 years, the students, the faculty, the teachers were all Black. And it was a Catholic school. And the majority of my classmates were Catholic. To the point where when we did First Holy Communion, we didn't have to go to catechism on a Sunday. The priest came in and was like, okay, well, most of y'all are Catholic except for these two over here. So you two go have free play, free time, and I'm going to teach these other 23 kids about getting First Holy Communion. And I think that's a wild anomaly, because when you think of a Black Catholic, it's usually like, oh, there's 1 and 2 in the church. And we have whole churches, 5 or 6, 7, 8 of them, that are mostly attended by Black people. So if I don't like the Black Catholic Church right here, I could go over there. And yes, we have a gospel choir. We are in church longer than 45 minutes. And if you don't like it, then I don't know what to tell you. And our sign of peace takes 12 minutes. Because
we go congregate. Like we gonna congregate for real. We
We gonna
gonna hug and
congregate for
talk.
real.
Yeah, we hug
If
and talk.
and in my
Like,
home church, everybody in that church, most of the people in my home church are from the same part of Maryland where my mother's from. So people are sitting there like, "Oh, how's your mama? I heard she was in the hospital. What's going peace be with you?" I mean, we get out the seat and hug people and how you doing, and the priest comes and hugs practically everybody. It's an ordeal. It's a
you're right.
thing. It's not an ordeal, but it's a thing. And I actually like it. I like going to a Black Catholic church. We have a gospel choir. We have a guitar player. We have a drummer. Like
Yeah.
we're
I was
about
the
it,
drummer from my church. So it was like
huh?
I was the drummer from my church. So it was like, my mom and my sister sang in the choir. I played the drums. We had a whole band, like we sang gospel songs. You know,
We sing
black,
gospel songs.
black. The one thing black folks gonna do is they gonna have church. It ain't no getting
Right.
around
And we had
it.
church. And the priest, the white priest, running up and down the aisle like he's a Baptist minister. And I'm like, is this a homily or a sermon? What's going on?
Facts. Like, hey, man.
What?
Because
What?
yeah,
Okay. And like we would have visitors, like when we have white visitors, they're just like, they said that this was a Catholic church. It is. It's a Catholic
it
church.
is
Welcome. Come on in. We come on. It's a Catholic church. There's a lot of singing. Well, yeah, we sing a lot. The responsorial psalm, we sing here. And
right.
some things, even things that technically should be sung, but I think a lot of churches recite, we
They
still gonna sing
recite.
it up in here.
Oh,
We
they
gonna sing
recite.
it.
Oh, it's definitely different because like we used to visit with the white Catholic churches in the city. So we used to go
Mm-hmm.
there and visit with them. And we used to sing at their churches. And like of course, their service was flipped all the way around because what they were used to, we would just come in there and just completely just reorganize and do it and adjust it to us. So a lot of them were just like, what is
What's
happening here? Like,
what's going on? This is supposed to be 45 minutes. I have a brunch reservation. Why are you
exactly.
still singing? And we haven't had communion yet. And we're reaching the 45-minute mark and we
Right.
haven't had communion. I'm going to have to leave. Okay, bye.
Yeah. I mean, it was some of them that loved it though. Like they would come up to us after church and like, you guys were amazing. Oh my God, never had church like
Mhm.
this. And some of them would come visit us at our church. So it was
We
interesting.
got we mhm. We
It's
would get that a
interesting,
lot
like,
too.
yeah,
They were
like
like, mhm.
it's like this unbridled relationship. Like white people love us but hate us at the same time. It's like you love the soul, you love the jubilation and everything like that, but you hate us. You hate who it comes from. Like, how does that work? Like,
Because
how do you
because
compartment?
the hate is jealousy. I truly so this is what I think because I posed this question when I first got on Threads because I'm not on Twitter. And yes, it's Twitter. And as I said in a previous episode, if Elon Musk can dead name his daughter, I'm a dead name his company. That's just how I roll. Um
Fact.
I'm not on Twitter. I got kicked off because I told a white woman she didn't know what gaslighting was, and they told me to remove the tweet. And they told me to remove the tweet, and I said I won't. And they was like, "Well, you can't come back on." And this happened right around the time Elon bought the company, and I was like, "Well, I don't need to come back on because I don't like Elon Musk, and I haven't been back on since."
Hey, I mean, she probably did know what gaslighting is.
But
I
she
mean,
probably didn't.
she probably didn't. She probably didn't know what it was, but she's probably a pro at it.
I mean,
I
yeah,
mean, come on. They,
that
they are like
that.
they cornered the market on gaslighting, like literally. You know what I'm saying? At
But
this point, it's almost a monopoly with them.
and
So
so
I
my
see
first
that.
my first thing on Threads, because I think Threads is like the most followers I have. I have like 700 or something on Threads.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm trying to figure out. I said, can anybody on here give me a detailed list of what Black people did specifically to white folks to make y'all not like us? Because the way y'all act, you would think that y'all were enslaved for 400 years.
Um,
And
I'll
I'm
take.
like, I really want to know because I like history and I know a lot of it, but I still don't know the intricacies of it so much. But I know the major events, even
Right.
some events that people don't think are major. To me, I feel they're major. Like
Hmm.
uh the Tulsa massacre. I knew about the Tulsa massacre way before what was the show? Watchmen
Watchmen and Lovecraft Country.
and
Yeah.
Lovecraft Country. Like
Yeah. I knew about.
I knew that before those. And
There's
I'm
still.
just going
Yeah. There's
and
still
I'm
people
still
learning.
going back about yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
There's still
sorry.
people learning. Yeah. I was gonna say there's still people learning about that to this day.
There's
Like
still people learning about that, right?
that's crazy. It's like you could literally look this up. We are in the age of information, and the fact that y'all don't even know about half of this stuff is really beyond me. And like even like when I was telling people like about the flooded towns, like Lake Lanier and things like that. When you talk about
Yes.
that stuff, you talk about Seneca Village and how it was bulldozed to make
Mhm.
Central Park. Like I literally was telling somebody about that on Instagram just the other day because she was like, I didn't know anything about this. I'm like, yeah. I sent her a link in the
Mhm.
article, and I'm like, yeah, this happened. Like this
And
happened.
this is and there's actually something going on like in our area, like in Bethesda, where there is a black burial ground that I think they want they want they want to put something there, they want to build on top of it or something, and the people are trying to stop them from doing it. I don't know where it's gotten, but I think as of the last time I checked, they hadn't built anything on it. But I don't know if they had gotten an injunction to stop them, and it's like a permanent stoppage or whatever. But I
Mm.
mean, we have that everywhere, and I'm like, I'm looking back in history, just doing from my own memory, and I don't remember anything where black people in mass have done anything to white people where y'all just don't like us. And so I'm like, so is it jealousy? Are you mad that we want to be treated like human beings and we want dignity and respect? Like, what is it? Do you think we're still supposed to be enslaved and be indentured to you? Like, why are you angry? Why are you mad? Why are you
Consider
upset?
I mean, considering the fact that they still have the three-fifths compromise within the Constitution itself, and they have not removed it since it's been inputted in there, it says a lot. It says a lot that they so-called dismantled slavery, but still found a way to institute it within the laws with the 13th Amendment. It still says a lot. There's a lot that after the Civil War and slavery was abolished, that the population of the prison system that they did have went from 99% white to 99% black literally overnight. And then black code pig law was introduced during Reconstruction. Then they moved on to Jim Crow, and then they went on to mass incarceration. So it's just like there is this insistence of showing that y'all are inferior. We're going to keep saying this. We're going to keep showing you this, and we're going to do everything that we can to impose upon you this idea and to make sure that you have it in your head that this is what we think of you. And I think I don't know anything outside of, like you said, jealousy, envy, or the fact that they just think so little of what we can be as a precursor to how they choose to move. Because it's like, what exactly have we done to you? What outside of just live our best lives now and just try to survive? And I mean, we provide y'all with trends, we provide y'all with art, we provide y'all with rhythm. Like, I don't understand the problem here. Half of y'all now can keep a beat because of us. What's the issue here? Some of y'all know how to make greens and yams because of us. Like
And let's not
we wasn't
forget the
good.
raising of their children,
Oh, look, listen. I was
the
about to.
nourishing, the raising of their children, the cultivating of their crops, because both of my grandfathers were sharecroppers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Until one of my paternal grandfather got a job with the district government, and I think that was like the best day of his life because like he's had the job at the district government long before I came along. But, I think that was the best day of his life. And I didn't know he was a sharecropper. I found out because I see my dad's birth certificate? I think I saw my dad's birth certificate and it said he was a sharecropper. And I was like, I didn't know that. And I couldn't ask him about it. He died. He was dead by then. So I couldn't ask him. But I'm like, we tilled the soil and cultivated the land and cultivated the crops after the indigenous people did it, and you tried to kill them off in mass. And
Right.
then we came behind them and did it. We've raised your children. We've cooked your food. I mean, what have we not done?
Exactly.
And I just want to say, the white people that get what we're saying, the white people that get it. And the white people that don't, you're just going to have to stay mad. I don't care.
I mean, even with the white people that do get it, it's just like you get it, and all my question is always, what are you doing about it? Because it's like, and that's one of the things that I always try to reiterate when I used to facilitate my workshops. It's like, it's good to understand this history. It's good to understand that you see it. Yes, now that you see it, now you've seen it. Now you can actually put a face and associate the terminology with the actions and the history and this and that. The question is, now you have this information. What do you plan on doing with it? Because it means nothing to know anything if you choose to be an active on it. And that's something I
And
always tell people. When everybody was protesting for George Floyd and putting up all the little black, they put their profiles and all
I want
black.
to talk
I
about that.
literally went and protested with a sign that says, "Dear white people, the real work happens after you protest."
Right.
And it's like,
The
that's the
the
thing.
the real work happens when you are in meetings and they are saying disparaging things about a black person or a black colleague. Are you stepping up and saying, why would you say that, and challenging them, or are you keeping quiet? Are you challenging your friends and your neighbors and your family members? Or are you just like, well, I don't want to rock the boat. Sometimes the boat needs to be rocked. And and I mean, in a way, I kind of, how can I put this? I understand not trying to upset your family. I don't have family that I have to talk about this type of politics with, because most of them, we all kind of share the same politics. Like, I don't know of anyone in my family that's a Trump supporter. And I got a huge family. Like, I can't marry nobody from Maryland, like, not nobody. And Maryland's a big state, and I can't marry nobody from there because I'm probably related to them, especially if they from Charles County, Maryland. I can't. Oh, yeah, my family from Waldorf. You know what? It was so nice meeting you, but no, you're probably my 15th cousin. No thanks. No thanks. And it doesn't matter what race you are, because I'm related to some of the white people down there too. No, thank you. I that's a no for me. Are you from, can you be from another country? Are you sure your like all of them are from here? No. I
Right,
can't.
right.
Um but it's like, um are you doing that? Are you challenging the people in your life that you love? Are you dating and developing friendships with people who are actively anti-racist? Are you marrying people who are actively anti-racist? Because I see a lot of stuff on TikTok where these white girls be with these boyfriends and husbands. Well, well, yeah, he's racist. Why would you marry a racist person?
Listen, like, look. And my thing is that even with that in itself, it's like, it says so much. You know, you talk about how, yes, while white men, they implemented the system, they thought it up, they put it into practice. White women uphold it,
Upheld it. Mm-hmm.
and they themselves help reinstitute it, and they sit there and they redistribute it, because it's like, it can't stay the way it is without y'all holding it up. It can't, it can't be what it is without y'all. If you have subscribed to it, then by proxy, you have also been, an accomplice to it, and you're a party to the crime. And it's just like, I don't know how you can sit there and in good conscience talk about how you want to be anti-racist or you want to stop racism and you're not even doing it in your own backyard. Like the
Exactly.
calls come from inside the house.
Exactly.
It's like get your house in order. You know,
Exactly.
ain't that what the old folks used to say? Get your house in order.
Yes, get your house in order. That's
Right.
usually what they tell you, like right when you're about to die. You need to get your house in order
Right.
because you're about to go. And people start getting houses in order, and men start figuring out, wait, that kid that my wife don't know about, they gonna come back. They start putting the thing in the will about any kid that claims I'm their father. You get $1. Like that's when they start putting their house in order. That. Um, and I'm like, okay. And then they go, well, I'm teaching him how to be anti-racist. I was like, first of all, you shouldn't be teaching anybody anything. You should want to date someone that already came anti-racist.
That part. It's like
I
why
mean,
it's
I'm
like
just I'm just saying.
I'm
I'm
like
just saying.
I'm like, look, Karen and Kyle, y'all can't have this going on. It's just not that's not as works. I'm like, if you have to sit there and sit him down and give him the basics, like if you're in this whole thing, if you're in the white voyeurism of your 8 white identities, then we have an issue here. Like you got
We
to be
have
a
an
little
issue.
bit more down the line. Like you can't be still at the top. Like no, like
Right.
I'm sorry, there's just way too much information for you to be up
Mhm.
here. You need to be down near more so the accomplice, the co-conspirator. Like y'all
Right.
gotta get there, and y'all together. Y'all look bad as a unit. It's not looking too good.
Right. And it's like, okay, but you know who you date is reflective of you. So if you're going around talking about Black Lives Matter and your boyfriend's over here in a red hat with Make America Great Again,
And a tiki
I'm
torch.
confused.
I'm really
And a tiki
confused.
torch and a penguin and the penguin polo, like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
confused.
yeah.
And so like one of the things I did a couple years ago was I started really kind of weeding out my friend group because I have a very diverse group of friends. And I like that about me because I don't really like people. I was about to say I like people. I don't. I really don't like people. People get on my nerves. They're selfish and rude and entitled and want to just think everything's supposed to go their way. Like people really get on my nerves. I'd rather just stay home and play The Sims. Sims don't get on my nerves because I could tell them what to do, but everybody else gets on my nerves. And I've been like this since a child. I remember being 2 and 3 and 4 years old going, these people just get on my nerves. Like y'all just get on my nerve. All of y'all just get, and grown-ups, y'all get on my nerves. Y'all the dumbest fucking people I've ever met in my life. I don't want to be a grown-up. You're stupid. So, I don't, I am a personable person. I don't necessarily like people, but I'm a personable person and I know that I have to live in the world with people and I don't wish harm to people. So let's put it that way. I want everyone
Right.
on the planet to have a thriving life. Like that's just how I feel. Um, but I started weeding out my friend group. And I said, there are certain white people I'm not going to be friends with anymore because you're low key racist.
Right.
And I don't want to be around people who are low key racist. So I got rid of a lot of white people in my
Yeah.
friend group. I still have them. I got new ones, is what I did.
Oh yeah.
I got new ones.
It's very. I think the reality is, if you're black, if you're brown, if you're indigenous, if you're Asian, like, I think that it's very difficult to navigate, especially in this country, in any part of this country, and not come across white people because they're everywhere. Like they're everywhere. They're like locusts. So you got to find a way to you got to find the ones that can be useful to some degree.
Although
So
I didn't have my first white friend until high school because I
you know,
didn't go to school with them. So I didn't
for me, it was fifth grade. It was fifth grade. Yeah, it was fifth grade because I went to Catholic school for 2 years, hated it, and then my mom switched me to public school, and then I ended up growing up with all of my friends from 5th grade all the way to 12th grade. So it was like I had exposure to a lot of white folks because I was in a lot of different programs. I was gifted and talented and,
Same.
and a lot of different things where I was the only Black person in the group or in the vicinity. So it was that part. It was like, I'm at camp when there's nothing but white folks, and there's maybe one other Black person there, and they're like a teen counselor. So that was like my experience. That was what I knew and was around. So it's different. But I also, I was married to a white woman for a while, and that was an experience in itself because during the time me and her when we were married, you know, that's when Darren Wilson got acquitted for the murder of Mike Brown, and I got activated, and me and her, we butt heads because not that she didn't think that I had a, she didn't think she, it's not that she didn't think that I didn't have a reason to be mad. It was that the minute I started protesting, the minute I started getting super activated, she didn't realize that it was like not realizing the person that she married, because now I'm showing her this whole other side of me that she didn't know existed, you know, and there was this immediate like visceral reaction to my activism, and we butt heads for a while, and I'm also on one hand catching heat because it's like, well, you're protesting and you're speaking up and you're Black this and Black that, but you're sleeping with the enemy. It's like that's the that's the sentiment, is you're sleeping with the enemy. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, and I can understand. I kind of understand that sentiment. So
I do. I get it.
I can understand it. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. So
I understand it. I get it. And trust me, when it first happened to me, I was like, okay, y'all do know, like I'm getting arrested. I'm doing all type of stuff. Like I'm putting my body on the line. Like no matter who I'm in bed with, I'm Black every day. I walk out the door,
right.
I'm Black every day. So
I
I
mean, I
get.
can't say that specifically because people don't know what race I am. They just kind of look at me and go, white people look at me and go, I have to differentiate that because a lot of Black people kind of know that I'm Black. They're just like, I think she's Black. She's just light. But a lot of white people go, um, so where are you from? Washington, D.C. Where's your family from? Maryland. Both sides? Yep. Multi-generational. I know what you're trying to get at. Just say it. Because
Right.
Black people who don't know, they'll just, are you biracial by any chance? And I go, no, I'm not. Are you mixed? No. White people, so where are you from? I was born and raised in Washington, D.C. Oh,
Right. It's the microaggressive behavior for me. Like
it's the microaggressive behavior for me. And I was like, I'm Black. I'm just like, I'm fully Black. I do not have a white parent. I don't have a white grandparent either. Oh, that was me. My bad.
you fine.
So, as you know, I'm neurodivergent. I have ADHD and I'm on the autism spectrum, and I may just keep this in the podcast. I may not edit it out. And I have all these timers and reminders of telling me, "Hey, it's time for you to go do something. So go do it." And that was my reminder telling me, "Okay, you need to like turn off your lights and take a shower and read so you can go to sleep because if I don't, I'll be on TikTok, or I also like to read advice columns, and I will just be reading advice columns all night or scrolling TikTok or something. If I don't have reminders to be like, it's 8:45, Kia. It's time for you to start winding down and do all
Right.
of these things because you need to be asleep by 11. And I'm like, I have to do it because if not, one of the ways I manage my neurodivergency is by trying to have a schedule and trying to have a sleep schedule. And, you know, so that was my timer to tell me to stop doing whatever it is you're doing. I'm not going to stop though. But yeah, that's what that was. So people usually, I mean, I'm Black. I'm just light skinned. And people usually don't know. White people usually don't know. And Black people that don't know just ask. And white people that don't know want to ask me 50,000 questions. And I'm just like, can we just get on with it? This is taking way too long. Like, this is a 5-minute fucking interrogation about my race
Right.
that you're not even if I tell you, you're going to be like, no, that can't be right. You can't just be Black. No, I'm just Black.
Right.
That's it. Like,
Like, ain't
both.
y'all the ones that instituted the one drop rule? Like, that's my immediate response to that. Like, didn't y'all institute the one
I
drop
never,
rule? That was y'all thing, right?
I never thought about that. I remember one time this lady on the street, um, she was like, I'm literally just walking down the street, and this white lady is like, "Oh, you're so pretty," and I'm like, okay, thanks. What are you? I was like, what? And I said, a clone. My aunt made me in her basement. I'm a clone, and I just walked past her, and she has her mouth open like, and I'm now have crossed the street, and she's just sitting there in the middle of the sidewalk like, did she just say she's a clone? And her
Right.
aunt, yes, I did. I'm a clone. My aunt made me in my basement. Don't ask strangers questions like that, weirdo.
Right. Like, ask her, like, have you ever seen Bicentennial Man with Robin Williams? I'm like that, but the woman version.
I love that's okay. That's one of my favorite movies, Bicentennial Man.
Oh yeah, great movie. Great movie.
It's a great movie.
Oh my.
And like you, I've dated outside my race. I've pretty much almost exclusively dated outside my race, not just white people, like everybody. I think I've
Oh,
gone on most of the continents.
I'm pretty sure I've hit them all.
I
I'm,
I I mean, I've South America, Asia, Europe,
yeah.
Middle East. I've pretty much hit even Canada. I've dated a Canadian. Like,
I haven't hit Canada. I'm too afraid I'd hit the girl version of Drake, so I'm gonna leave that alone. Leave that alone. I'm cool on that one. Y'all can have Canada, man. I'm cool. I'm cool, man. I'm cool on that. So many skews.
a Drake. So, first of all, Drake ain't had a good album since Scorpion. Yeah, I said it. Come at me, bruh.
And I mean,
Although,
Scorpion was kind of like, but
well, I liked 8 out of 10, which I don't know if that's a song. So I haven't listened to the radio in a very long time. So I don't even know if they
that's
played
like one of my favorite ones.
eight out of that's my favorite song too.
That's,
And
that's my joint.
I just recently heard a song with Sexy Red and SZA and Drake.
Yeah.
I only like that song for SZA and Sexy Red.
Yeah, I mean,
They have the best. Like, I've been playing that song in my head. I think I heard it. When did I hear it for the first time? Like last Thursday, and I've been playing it in my head since last Thursday. But Drake. I've
yeah,
dated it. I've dated a Drake. Don't do it.
just the
I've also dated Jewish hip hop bros. That's kind of hit or miss. I've dated more than one Jewish hip hop bro.
I mean, that's a Drake.
No, I mean it is, but it isn't. When I say Jewish hip hop bro, I'm saying more like Rick Rubin and less like Drake.
Oh, okay. Well, Rick Rubin is nice. I like him.
Okay, look, y'all can't say nothing bad about the Beastie Boys. Not one
Oh,
damn
no,
thing
absolutely
bad
not.
can
You
you
boys is
say about the
bad.
Beastie Boys.
You boys is
If you
bad.
say the beat, okay,
You
but
boys is bad.
I've dated a couple of Jewish hip hop bros. Those were very interesting experiences. Very, very interesting. They weren't bad experiences. They were just interesting experiences. And I dated more. Oh, that's not true. One of the Jewish hip hop boys was like a Drake, but Drake in the sense of he was biracial, but not Drake in the sense he acted like Drake. Like, he was actually pretty cool.
Okay.
He was cool. I would never assign a Drake characteristic to him. He was pretty cool. But me dating outside of my race doesn't negate the fact that I'm Black, and it doesn't negate the fact that I'm going to root for Black all the time.
Right.
I also did not date out of my race because I dislike Black men. I
That
just
part.
dated outside of my race because that's who were approaching me to date.
That part, and I think that's a key component that a lot of people don't talk about in this like interracial relationship conversation. It's interesting because like when I remember when I brought my first white girl home, I was 16 years old. She came on to me. It wasn't the other way around. It wasn't like I went looking for her. And that's pretty much how it's always been in my experience. Like my experience is a lot different than a lot of other Black men, because a lot of other Black men like, oh, well, I had this bad experience with a Black girl, and so I just started doing this, and I
Yeah.
went for the snow bunny. I'm like, nah, I didn't even try. They just kind of found me,
That
and so that was what happened. And like even when I tried to explain it to my older sisters, like my older sister used to give me grief about it. Like, there's a lot of good Black women out here. I'm like, I'm totally aware of that. I'm like, that's not who's coming across me though. So like if I vibe with somebody, I vibe with somebody.
vibe with right.
I'm not necessarily negating them because they're white. Now, of course, at 16, you're young and naive. So there's a lot of things that I didn't know, of course, from a racial standpoint.
Right.
So there was
Exactly.
also that part. As you get older, yeah, you become a lot more selective. Yeah, they have to check off more boxes. Like, yeah, I told myself
Oh yeah.
after me and my ex-wife got divorced, I was like, the hell would probably freeze over if I dated another white woman again. She'd have to check a lot of
Um
boxes just
the
because of my
barrier
experience.
the barrier for me to date a non-Black person. Well, first of all, I've taken myself out of the dating game. I've decided I'm done and I'm not going back.
I'm probably
I'm
right there.
going
I'm probably almost
I
there with you. It's getting to a point where I'm,
I
you know what? Nah, I'm cool.
I'm done. Um I have too much shit. I have too many diagnoses. I have too much trauma, and men across the board, it's not just Black men. I feel like men across the board just lack basic decency, compassion, empathy, and understanding and emotional intelligence. And again, I would just rather play The Sims in my bedroom than go on a date. I'll
Which
just have my Sims date. Like, and then I can take them on dates and it's not nerve wracking. I'm not anxious.
you're not
I'm
getting disrespected.
I'm not getting
You're not
disrespected.
getting
It's like,
sexualized on the first date. Like I literally had a
and
friend of
it,
mine. I literally had a friend of mine who was telling me she went on a date with a guy. They went on one date, and then he sent her a text message, basically talking about she was giving up sugar, and he basically told her, "Don't worry, I don't taste like sugar. You'll find out soon enough." And I'm like insinuating that like it was a first date, and you're already insinuating that something's going to go down, and it's an immediate turnoff. And of course, she didn't respond. She's like, "Greg, I don't know what to do." I was like, "Don't respond to that. Like, cut that short. Like, cut that
but
short immediately."
it's hard because I didn't always used to do that. So I'm a CSA and SA survivor. So, and for me, I just want to disclose everything in the beginning so I can just get it the fuck out the way. Because my thinking is, and FYI, everybody, I just want you to know that there is no wrong or right way to disclose that information. If you never want to disclose it, you don't have to. If you want to disclose it right away, go ahead. If you want to wait, go ahead. I think that is a decision that every person who is a assault survivor should make for themselves.
Yeah.
I personally, for me, I like to do it first date to get it out the way.